You're listening to Short History Shorts audio, where history speaks louder than images. The year 146 BC marked a violent and decisive moment in the history of the Mediterranean world, a single year in which Rome delivered two crushing blows to two of its most persistent rivals, Carthage in the west and Corinth in the east. The destruction of Corinth was not merely a military event, but a calculated political statement, one that reverberated across Greece and beyond. It was the culmination of decades of tension between the rising Roman Republic and the once mighty Hellenistic city-states, a final chapter in a long story of Greek resistance to Roman interference, and a brutal reminder that Rome now stood as the unquestioned master of the Mediterranean. Corinth's fate was sealed by a combination of defiance, political miscalculation, and Rome's growing intolerance for any challenge to its authority. To understand the destruction of this once great city, we must first look at Corinth's role in the Greek world. Strategically located on the Isthmus of Corinth, the city commanded the narrow land bridge between mainland Greece and the Peloponnese. This position gave it control over the Diolkos, a stone-paved trackway that allowed ships and goods to be transported overland between the Aegean and Ionian seas, saving days of dangerous sailing around the Peloponnese. Corinth's wealth flowed from trade, manufacturing, and its famed artisans, and it became a hub for cultural exchange and luxury goods. Politically, Corinth had long been a player in Greek affairs, sometimes an ally, sometimes a rival to other major powers like Athens and Sparta. By the mid-2nd century BC, however, the Greek world was a shadow of its former self. The great city-states were weakened by centuries of internecine warfare. The Macedonian kingdom had been shattered, and Roman intervention in Greek affairs had grown more assertive since the Macedonian Wars. Rome, professing to liberate Greece from Macedonian rule, had in reality made itself the arbiter of Greek politics. This so-called freedom was conditional on obedience to Roman demands, a fact that many Greeks found intolerable. Corinth, by this time a leading member of the Achaean League, found itself drawn into direct confrontation with Rome. The Achaean League had initially cooperated with Rome, but tensions grew as the League expanded its control over the Peloponnese and resisted Roman interference. The spark for open conflict came in 147 BC, when disputes arose between the League and several cities in the region that Rome supported. Roman envoys arrived to negotiate, but were met with open hostility in Corinth, where anti-Roman sentiment ran high. Some accounts suggest the Roman delegation was insulted and even threatened, acts that hardened the Senate's resolve to bring the League to heel. In the spring of 146 BC, the Roman general Lucius Mummius led a force into Greece to confront the Achaean League. The decisive battle came near Corinth, where the League's army, poorly led and outmatched, was crushed. The League's forces, composed of citizen militias rather than professional soldiers, were no match for the disciplined Roman legions. The defeat left Corinth defenseless. What followed was one of the most infamous acts of destruction in Roman history. Mummius ordered the complete sack of the city. Corinth's male population was massacred, while women and children were sold into slavery. The city's treasures, statues, paintings, gold and silver were looted and sent to Rome. Mummius, though by no means a cultured man, was aware of the value of Greek art. However, his lack of refinement was notorious. Ancient sources record that he warned ship captains transporting the plundered artworks that if they lost them, they would be required to replace them with items of equal value, impossible for unique masterpieces. After the sack, Corinth's buildings were systematically burned and demolished. The destruction was so thorough that for a century the site lay in ruins, a silent testament to Rome's power and a warning to any who might resist. Politically, the fall of Corinth marked the dissolution of the Achaean League and the effective end of Greek political independence. Rome annexed the region as the province of Achaea, integrating it into its growing empire. The symbolism of the event was profound. Just as the razing of Carthage in the same year demonstrated Rome's supremacy in the west, the annihilation of Corinth underscored its dominance in the east. Corinth's destruction also carried an element of calculated humiliation. The city had been one of the jewels of Greek civilization, renowned for its wealth, culture, and architectural beauty. By erasing it from the map, Rome not only punished rebellion, but also proclaimed that no city, however illustrious, was beyond its reach. This message was not lost on other Greek cities, most of which quickly adapted to the new political reality. In the centuries that followed, Rome would selectively restore Corinth, founding a new Roman colony there under Julius Caesar in 44 BC. This revival transformed Corinth into a thriving provincial capital, populated by Roman colonists and freedmen, but the ancient Greek city, with its proud traditions and independent spirit, was gone forever. The destruction of Corinth thus stands as both an end and a beginning, the end of an era of Greek autonomy and the beginning of a new chapter in which Greece became an integral part of the Roman world. In the collective memory of the Greeks, however, the sack of Corinth remained a symbol of the brutality and finality of Roman conquest. It was a moment when the old order of the Mediterranean, built on the legacy of the polis, the Hellenistic kingdoms, and centuries of Greek cultural primacy, was decisively replaced by a Roman order that would endure for half a millennium. And so, the smoking ruins of Corinth in 146 BC were more than the aftermath of a battle. They were a monument to the irresistible rise of Rome and a cautionary tale for any who dared defy it.